Hello, and welcome to episode 41 of Charlotte Mecklenburg History with Dan Morrill. Today is Sunday, January 17th, 2021, and I am Dan's daughter, Mary Dana, joining my dad, Dan, through Zoom. Hey, Dad.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
And he is continuing his tour of northern Mecklenburg County from last week. So I'll let you go, Dad.
Well, I'm going to repeat a little bit. Just let me say one thing I'd said before, two things. First of all, understand that I'm really looking at an aspect of African American history because the reality is that Mecklenburg County was overwhelmingly rural until World War II. And also, when we go back into the 18th and early 19th century, we're talking about the pre-Civil War South. And the reality is that the predominant form of agriculture, particularly on the larger farms, was under the plantation system. And the vast majority of people who lived on those plantations were African Americans. Of course, they were enslaved people, and I'm not trying to in any way romanticize that, but that's one thing. The other is, as I've told you before, if you really want to take someone on a tour that will give them a whole different sense of what Mecklenburg County was, I think this is the best tour in the county if you want to look at what it was in the pre-Civil War days. So with that, I thought I'd put, remember you go up Interstate 77 to exit 23.
Huntersville.
And you head west. You go up Interstate 77 to Huntersville and you head west. If you're coming south, you turn right and head west. You always head west, whether it's left coming out of town or right going into town when you get to exit 23. And I thought I'd give you a picture, and please excuse this. Some of these are going to be Zoom pictures with this COVID thing, and gosh knows I have to be so quarantined. But so they're not the greatest pictures, but I thought I'd give you a picture of what the road looks like when you approach the Hugh Torrance house and store in Cedar Grove that we talked about last time. You can see that marker there, there at the edge of the road, and that is for the Hugh Torrance house and store. And you can see the brick house in the distance, and that's Cedar Grove. So that's what you're going to see. And remember, these were Scots-Irish. This man, Hugh Torrance, came here, built the first portion of what was a log home in 1779. Eventually, he built a bigger house. This house was expanded into a store, which his own son began to operate in the early 1800s. And after the father died, the son, James Torrance, built this magnificent plantation home, Cedar Grove, which we're dealing with to this day, this big Greek Revival style plantation home. It gets the Greek Revival name largely because of the columns on that front portico. Remember, it's right on the road. You can't miss it. Keep going down that road, still west. Just keep going straight. Don't worry about the name changes. And you're going to come to Ingleside. Now, there's still some historical research being done on Ingleside, another plantation, same system. These were large slave owners. So we're going to encounter the Davidson family. We're going to run into 4 different members of the Davidson family. Torrance family at Cedar Grove. This is the Davidson family. This Italianate style plantation house was built about 1860. There's still research being done. It was built by William Spate McLean Davidson, who was the grandson of the owner of the next house that we're going to look at, which is Rural Hill. So you can see it is in itself simply a remarkable house. You're going to have to drive a little bit slowly. Remember, this is private property. You don't go in. It's not a public place. Same thing's true of Cedar Grove, although the Hugh Torrance house and store is open at some time. Continue down the same road, and it dead ends into Beatty's Ford Road. Now, Beatty's Ford Road gets its name from the fact that it led to a ford on the Catawba River. And Beatty's Ford Road in colonial times was a major thoroughfare. It was a major entry point into Mecklenburg County. And of course, as you might expect, was old native Indian path. You turn left on Beatty's Ford Road. When you dead end into Beatty's Ford Road, turn left, and you're going to go down to this intersection. Now it's maybe a mile down the road. It's not right away. You're going to have to be really careful because you can come up on this thing really quickly. But you're coming to what's called Neck Road because it is, and this is a major historic place we're going to go to here. Neck Road gets its name from the fact that it goes out on a neck of land that extends west toward the Catawba River. And you're going to turn right there onto that road. You're going to turn right on the Neck Road. And you can see this rock marker over here. We're going to see a lot of rock markers. A man by the name of Eli Baxter Davidson in the 1920s, who was a direct descendant of this Major John Davidson, put these rock markers up all along Beatty's Ford Road. And this is one of them. And you can see it there, and you can also see it here in this picture. And you can see it's got this wonderful hand pointing to the west toward Rural Hill. Now you're going to go a long way on Neck Road, a long way, a couple of miles. But you'll know that you are getting to Rural Hill when you see this bridge, which goes over, gosh, man, I know the name of this creek so well, but I can't remember it right now, and that's okay. But this is,
I don't know.
this is
Maybe
an
it'll come to you.
incredible, this is an incredible place, Rural Hill. Now, when you come on it, you're going to go up here and it'll swing around to the right. And this is the largest locally designated historic landmark in Mecklenburg County. It's 235 acres.
Is it publicly owned or
It
privately
is
owned?
publicly, it's leased by the group that runs the Loch Norman Highland Games. If any of you've heard of these Scottish games, and they have sheepdog trials up here. They have a corn maze up here. I mean, it's definitely open to the public, so you can come.
I've heard of those
Now,
games, but I've never been. So that's where the Highland Games are?
that's
Is
that's, that's, that's
it
right.
Rural
Now,
Hill?
I'll tell you now, Rural Hill. Major John Davidson, Scots Irish. He's called Major because he was in the militia during the Revolutionary War. He was a big patriot. He was, all that kind of stuff. He's Scots Irish Presbyterian. Came down from Pennsylvania and settled here about 1760 and built. And this is really what the countryside looked like in the old days. City folks love trees. Farmers hate trees. First thing a farmer wants to do is clear the land because he wants to grow cotton. And this would have been big cotton fields. You can see the grove of trees, and that's where the house would be. They would plant trees right around the house on the high ground, as you would expect. Now, look at this. Look at this. Look at this site here at Rural Hill. I mean, this is just an incredible place. I mean, if you want to get a whole different sense of what Mecklenburg County was like, if you want to get that rural feel, and I say they have this group that leases this from the county. This land is all owned by the county. They have a wonderful set of volunteers, and they go up and take care of this land. And by the way, the ruin, here's the plantation house burned in 1886. The story is that the family went into what they call the village, which was Charlotte, and they were coming back and they could see the smoke on the horizon. It was an accidental fire from, I don't know if it was in a fireplace or wherever it was, but there was an accidental fire. So you've only got these remnants of the columns that are left there. But I would encourage anybody, if you want to have a whole different experience, there have been times in the past. Remember, this is John Davidson's plantation. There have been times in the past when I just really hate to leave Rural Hill because, so much of Mecklenburg County is just filled with junk. I mean, it's got all kinds of bookies and bookie backies and
Well,
pizza this and
right.
burgers that, and people going all over the place. This is so different that it is worth a visit in itself. I mean, it really. Now, by the way, here, you remember I told you that Eli Baxter Davidson in the 1920s, who was a direct descendant, built these rock walls all up and down the Baysford Road corridor to celebrate the history. And the fanciest stones that he used were for the family cemetery. Some of you who went to Davidson College, particularly back in the mid 20th century, when I went there, you remember Dr. Chalmers Davidson, who was a sort of a legendary professor. Well, he's buried in this cemetery. This is a Davidson family cemetery. Major John Davidson's buried in there. Brother after brother after brother after brother, sister after sister after sister after sister. Generations of the family are buried here at Rural Hill. And it's just, I mean, you can go to Rural Hill and just get a totally different feel for what Mecklenburg County was like. And with these broad fields, you can just, that's what it was. That's what it was. You don't think about Mecklenburg County being this way. This is an absolute cherished cultural artifact. And, I'm a great lover of it, to say the least. Now, there are some things that are interesting there that don't go back to the very beginnings. Here on the left is a one-room schoolhouse. And I was actually involved in getting the county to buy this property. I mean, it was one of my achievements back in the 1970s, maybe 1980s, when they actually bought it. And one of the things that the Davidson family contributed money to was the preservation of this one-room schoolhouse. Now, again, this schoolhouse, this would have been for white children. Now, the schoolhouse on the right was actually moved on the site. It was a little bit off Rural Hill. It wasn't right on it. But that's the Bethesda School. That was for colored children, built in the early 20th century.
Right.
And,
Then called colored children, right? That's right.
Pardon?
That's what back then referred to.
Yes,
Right,
African American.
Right.
I'm using the term historically.
Yes.
I have no other purpose than that. Now we can see again, we talk now about schools, and we think about, well, what are the standards we have at schools? Well, anyway, those. So you not only got this family cemetery, this ruin of a plantation, these incredible fields. You can go up there. They have a corn maze in the summer. They have sheepdog trials. They have the Loch Norman Highland Games. If you get somebody from out of town, take them to Rural Hill. I mean, they'll get a feel. Now, if you go by the schoolhouse, by the way, you just keep going down the road, Neck Road. Neck Road goes right through Rural Hill. So you just drive down Neck Road and you'll see all this stuff. Neck Road will come to a dead end. You take the left here. There's a road that goes to the right, but you're going to take the left. And it goes for about 2 miles. It's a gravel road. You know, if you really want to have a great time, take the whole road. I mean, it's what, but the first thing you come to is this house here. Now, this is the Robert Davidson house, built by the son of John Davidson. Ingleside, Cedar Grove, Robert Davidson house. I mean, this is a federal style plantation house listed in the National Register of Historic Places. It is owned by Mecklenburg County. And this was built by the son, one of the sons. We're going to see another son's house later. This was built by a son of John Davidson. They called him Robin, but his name was Robert. It was built sometime between 1795 and 1800. And it's called Holly Bend, too. You'll see it referred to as Holly Bend. Here's another picture of it. And I mean, it's just, you know.
What's it used
As
for?
I say, and the thing, the county wants to make it into some sort of an event center. And believe me, they don't have the money to do what they want to do, or they don't choose to spend the money to do what they want to do. And now they've just mothballed. But it is truly a magnificent. And as I would say, if you have time, just because if you drive down to the end of Neck Road, there's a dead end, and I didn't go down there. I didn't. No, that's my Alexa.
Oh, your Alexa's reminding you.
Take my pill for my disease. But anyway, you could go. There's an overlook of a nature preserve. And it's worth driving down. If you love nature and you love the woods and you love, all that kind of stuff, it's about another mile and a half, I would say. Maybe it's not that far, but it's not. Now, you go to the end of Neck Road. Now, when if you either turn around here or you go to the end, and there's an easy turnaround. It's kind of hard to turn around here, but it's easy to turn around down at the end of Neck Road. Then you're going to drive all the way back to Beatty's Ford Road. So you go back through Rural Hill, you'll see all the schoolhouse, everything again. But I mean, really, truly, I mean, it's worth taking somebody to see it. It's worth taking somebody to see it. Now, when you get to Rural Hill, when you get to Beatty's Ford Road, you're going to take a right. You remember you came down. Remember when we went, we came down. When we were coming down the road, we turned. And you're going to come right back to that same intersection. And you're going to take a right. So in essence, you're just continuing down Beatty's Ford Road. All right. Now, here you go. Chuggy, chuggy, chuggy. Chuggy, chuggy, chuggy. Chuggy, chuggy, chuggy. Now, let's get this one here. Yep. Okay. Now you'll notice something immediately as you come down Beatty's Ford Road. See these rock walls on either side of the road? Remember the rock walls around the family cemetery?
I do.
Same guy. In other words, he wanted to pick out places that were especially important historically. And one of them, obviously, was Hopewell Presbyterian Church. So what you're coming to now is Hopewell Presbyterian Church. And I'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute. But you'll see on the left is a cemetery. Cemetery here on the left, okay? And that's a cemetery for Hopewell Presbyterian Church. But you're not going there immediately. You're going to continue down the road to this intersection right here. In other words, you can see you've just come down the road. That's all you've done. You just come down the road. The intersection's right down. It's down. You can see it there. See it?
I see it.
See it. That's it. That's what you turn. Now that's Sample Road. Okay.
Yeah, you keep hitting your microphone, Dad, when you're trying to mouse. What are you doing? All right, well, anyway, I just want to
Well,
let you know.
doing the best I can.
Okay,
All right, now you go down Sample Road
that's better.
and you're going to see Ladder Place. Now, this is a big county park. First of all, and I don't know what the county's doing now as far as what's open and not open because of this blessed COVID thing. But there are three things that are important. First of all, there's a welcome center on your right when you go in the park. It's a good place to go to the bathroom if you have to go to the bathroom. Also, if you continue down the road, Sample Road, you're going to come to the what do they call it, Mary Dana, where they take care of hurt birds and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, the Raptor Center.
Raptor Center.
Yeah,
The Raptor Center.
that's
Well,
a
that's a
great place
great
to
place.
go.
You know, that's a great place to visit.
Mm-hmm.
And see what they're doing rescuing birds. So you got something there. So see, I've already given you three public sites: the Hugh Torrance House and Store in Rural Hill, and of course now we've got the Raptor Center, and you've got the Plantation. This is the James Latta Plantation. Mary Dana, you knew Gene Boggs.
Very well. I did know Gene
Gene
Boggs.
Boggs was the reason that the county bought Latta Place, built between 1795 and 1800.
In fact, they've got a little welcome center right near the house now that's called the Gene Boggs
That's exactly right.
Welcome Center. So,
and you can see here's a view of the place in context. Historic Latta Plantation. They give tours. They have events. This is run by Mecklenburg County. It's part of Mecklenburg County Park. It's a wonderful place. They have outbuildings. They have, illustrations of cooking and crafts and things that are used. They do some interpretation of slavery there.
They do.
So it's a great place. It's a great place. And as I say, this tour is just a terrific tour. You got all these things to see that you don't have to get on an airplane. You don't have to go 500 miles away. It's right here amongst you. So you've been to Latta Place. And
yes, many times. It's great. I've been to events there, and they do a really nice Christmas event like you were talking about, where they do different interpretations of life there. And it was really interesting. But I don't, like you said, I don't know what they're doing because of COVID.
Well, I don't either. But anyway, that's not going to last forever.
That's right.
Now, when you get to Latta Place, you're going to turn around and you're going to go back to Baysford Road. Everything goes back to Baysford Road. When you get to Baysford Road, you're going to take a right. And you don't go hardly any distance. And there's another entrance here on the left. And that takes you up to Hopewell Presbyterian Church. Now, Hopewell Presbyterian Church is one of you're a direct descendant of a man named Alexander Craighand. He was the minister at Hopewell Presbyterian Church. And it's still a viable church. It still operates. You can still go inside. A couple of things I would say about the church. First of all, they don't know where I know they had a slave cemetery burial ground. They don't know where it is.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, that they're not sure where it is.
But if you go around the right side of the church, over on this side over here, can you see my marker?
Yes.
That's where the slave entrance is.
Yeah, I remember you had showed that in a previous podcast.
Also, there's a marker to General William Lee Davidson in the cemetery, because when he was killed at the Battle of Cowan's Ford in February 1781, when Cornwallis's troops were moving up through the Carolinas, they brought his body here and buried it. And the churches, now the oldest part of this building dates from the 1830s. I think I'm right on that. But you know, the church, and here's the interior of the church. And I mean, it's you know, again, it'd be great to take somebody. Facebook keeps popping. It would be great for you to take somebody to go up there for a worship service, because there's still an operating congregation. All right, now the next stop's really interesting. How am I doing on time?
25 minutes.
Oh, I'm gonna make it.
You're doing good.
You go back to Batesford Road, the very same way you came in, that same intersection. You go back to this intersection right up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right there. Take a left. In other words, that car's coming toward you, you're going to go away. So you're going to go that way. You're going to turn left on Batesford. And you're going to come up to an intersection that's a little bit tricky. You notice that it's actually a V. There's a road that's going that way, and then there's a sharp turn. See there? Mm-hmm. You're going to take the sharp turn. You're coming up Batesford Road, you're going to go and take the sharp turn. And that's McCoy Road. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Got me?
Yeah, I've been on that road too.
Oh, you've been on all these roads because you're my daughter.
That's
then
true.
You're going to go down and about, I don't know, quarter mile. You're going to see this turnoff place on the right. You're going to go park there. You got a nice little place for you to park. This is an interesting thing because, well, let me show you what it is before. You've actually seen it before, but now I'm taking you on a tour. I'm telling you right now, if you're an African American, you need to take your children to this place because it's one of those places that is so evocative. It's so emotional. And there's a path. See that path there going up? See the path? And I show you another. See, there's the path going. You just walk down that path, and it's not very far.
But there's no signs or anything, right?
No,
at the road.
But you're gonna come. No, you're gonna come to the McCoy Slave Cemetery. Now, there's a marker there that explains it. This is actually run by St. Mark's Episcopal Church because the McCoy family became Episcopalians. And St. Mark's Episcopal Church, which is the Episcopal church that is in the neighborhood, owns this property and looks after it. And you can't see them in here, but there's maybe you can see it. No, yeah, you can. There's a bench.
Yeah, I see the bench. Mm-hmm.
So you can actually go in and sit down. And this is that marker where the Albert McCoy family thanks some of their favored enslaved people.
We talked about that in the slave cemetery episode.
But look, folks, what do you want to, this is your history. This is our history. This tour is just got tremendous things on it. Okay, so now you're going to go back to McCoy Road and you're going to take a right. Okay. Now I did where you're going to cross a creek. There'll be a bridge, and I just wanted to show you this. This is the McCoy Farmhouse. It's built in 1886. It's a typical late 19th century farmhouse. It is a designated historic landmark, but this is the same family that owned the slaves. And I think that was the people who lived in this house that actually had that marker erected that you just saw in the McCoy Slave Cemetery. So that's special. All right, now you're going to come. I'm trying to alert you. You're going to continue down McCoy Road. You understand it when you get back to your car, just keep going the same direction, east, on McCoy Road that you were going on already before you parked your car. Got me?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to come to this curve right here. Boy, get yourself ready because you're coming to right here. You're going to take, after this curve, you're going to take your first left. You go around that curve, you're going to come right here and you're going to take the left. Now, this is a very special place. Let me explain it. This is Oak Lawn. Now, Mary Dana, I remember the first time I took you to Oak Lawn. I never will forget your standing up in my old BMW that had a sunroof one time when I was having you take pictures of Oak Lawn. Now, you remember John Davidson, who built Rural Hill, the plantation that burned in 1886?
Mm-hmm.
You remember he had a son called Robert,
Yes.
and Robert built Holly Bend.
Yeah, that they called him Robin, right?
Robert.
Mm-hmm.
This was his brother, Benjamin. This house, we believe, was built in 1818. Plus, to make it even thicker, his wife, Benjamin Davidson's wife, was Betsy Latta, the daughter of James Latta of Latta Place. So they were all interconnected.
Yeah.
And some of you who are from Iredell County, or if you know your early history, Benjamin Davidson predeceased his wife by many years, and she moved to southern Iredell County and lived in another plantation house that is known as Mount Morrill. And so, plantation, enslaved people, cotton. It's true of Rural Hill. It's true of Latta Place. It's true of Holly Bend. It's true of Oak Lawn. It's true of Ingleside. It's true of Cedar Grove, and it's true of the Hugh Torrance House and Store. And it of course is reflected rather poignantly in the McCoy Slave Cemetery. And of course, the church was where they went. And the church, as I have told you, in the years before the Civil War, African Americans were not allowed to have their own churches.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that.
So they had to go to the church at Hopewell Presbyterian Church. Okay. Now, I did add one thing to the tour as sort of a final thing. And it has nothing to do with enslaved people. In fact, it doesn't date from the pre-Civil War period, but I know that some of the people who go on this tour are going to want to go shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give you a very special shopping experience that you can have. And it's real easy to get to. Now, I think they're closed on Tuesdays and they're not open on Sundays. But you can go any other day of the week and go to the Davis Brothers store. Now, let me show you this store building. Let me tell you how to get there first. When you go out from, if you turn in and look at Oak Lawn, which I would suggest you do because it was a very interesting concept. In fact, maybe I ought to say something about it. You notice how we kept all this open land up there?
Mm-hmm.
That's because we clustered houses around Oak Lawn. So it'd be good for you to drive up and just look at how the property was developed. But going back, here's what you do. You go McCoy, when you go back out from Oak Lawn, take a left on McCoy Road, you just keep going the same way. You're going to end up dead ending into Gilead Road. take a right on Gilead Road and you go right back to Interstate 77, exit 23.
Mhm.
Take a right, go south on Interstate 77 to exit 18, which is your next exit. And that happens to be the W.T. Harris Boulevard. Take a left on W.T. Harris Boulevard. Go to North Carolina Highway 115, which is maybe a mile. Take a left on Highway 115. Go up to Bob Beatty Road, or you'll see it across the railroad tracks. Railroad tracks will be right on your right as you go up Highway 115, which is also Old Statesville Road, if any of you know it better. And you will see this building across the tracks. Now, by the way, just for the record, I'm wearing suspenders. I bought my suspenders at the Davis Brothers store.
Okay.
Now, the Davis Brothers store has been continuously used as a store building since the turn of the last century. And it is a unique shopping experience. If you, again, want to get a feel for what the rural life was really like, go to the Davis Brothers store. Now, here is a view inside, and oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And it's run by a man named Silas Davis, who is a direct descendant. And if for no other reason, you ought to go to the Davis Brothers store just to meet Silas. Silas is a wonderful man, and he loves to run that store. That's his life. And I mean, you can buy stuff at the Davis Brothers store that you can't buy anywhere else. So look what I've given you, folks. I mean, I hear all the time people say, well, I got some people coming from out of town. I don't know where to take them. Take them up Interstate 77 to exit 23 and take a left. Or if you're coming south, go to exit 23 and take a right.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Mary Dana?
I think that was really good. Thank
You
you.
think,
That's
you think,
true.
you think,
The
you
Davis
think
Brothers store
you
is
think
good.
it's a good tour? You think it's a good tour?
I do. I think that, and I would say for people to know that that you have done several different tours. So there's a lot to do in Mecklenburg County. It's like you said, you don't have to go far away to find a lot of interesting historical sites because they're here.
You know, I used to read the Uncle Wiggily books when I was a little boy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the Uncle Wiggily books, the basic message was the most important things are right at home. And I think that's about the truth.
Right. So,
But
okay.
so many people get on a plane and spend thousands of dollars going out to look at history that they have absolutely nothing to do with. I'm not saying travel's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's either or, it's both and. But travel in your own hometown too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Dad. Well, thank you so much for that information as always. And thanks everybody for joining us. And I don't know,
And I
Dad.
think next week I'll be spending some of my time talking about recent developments with Preserve Mecklenburg. And by the way, folks, how many
There's been a
times
lot of exciting things going on with Preserve
yeah,
Mecklenburg.
and also, you know, we're only going to be as effective as our financial resources. And if you care about what we do, preservemec.org/donate. preservemec.org/donate. You can become a supporter.
Yeah, please become a member. And I think we're going to have another member Zoom meeting before too long.
We are.
Right?
I'm going to be scheduling one of those soon.
So hopefully we'll see some of you all there. So Okay,
Okay.
thanks again, Dad, and we will see you
Bye,
all next
everybody. Have a
time.
great week. Go to exit 23.
Bye.